Out.
Again, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
This happened.
What happened? Text 15. The translation? Who's going to read?
Vidura said, O powerful says, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them.
Primarily, if you see, he has focused on answering the question about Jiva. The answer about Bhagavan, the doubt about Ishvara, has been very subtly answered. So you'll have to catch that. There are two questions about Supreme Lord, two questions about Jiva. Actually, he has answered. So tomorrow, you just do that exercise. Give from the answers or from proper translation, give a one line answer, 1 or 2 line sentence answer to each question. There are two questions with two parts. Everything has been answered. But how it maps, which question, what is the answer, that you have to do some homework to map it. Okay, so do that. Study a little bit and do that. How he answers, especially the answer question about the Supreme Lord's position, has been little bit answered very subtly, in a subtle way, giving a hint, like that. Okay, 16th.
O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord.
Okay, so there are, Vidura summarizes mainly the answer about the Jiva over here. What he says, that the disturbances of the Jiva, there are three things here used. First of all, sadhu etar vyahritam vidvan. You have spoken very good. Natma mayanam harehe. Yeah, you have spoken very good. Na atma mayanam harehe. About the movement of the living entities which belong to the Supreme Lord. And this, the external energy which binds the conditioned soul has been described as abhati, apartham and nirmulam. If these three words summarizes whatever we have discussed. Abhati means it appears. That means the suffering of the jiva or the bondage of the jiva is only apparent. Why apparent? Just like the suffering in a dream is apparent. Apparent. So therefore, abhati, the living entity suffering is apparent because it's out of ignorance. That is the meaning of apparent. Dream-like. Apartham. Apartham means it's without meaning or factually it doesn't affect the soul. Apartham. That is the meaning. That's the meaning of apartham. It's not substantial. It doesn't affect the soul actually. Just like the suffering in the dream, ultimately the living entity will not be affected. Although living entity may cry, this, that, but there is no real suffering. So it's apparent and it's doesn't affect the soul, means insubstantial. Insubstantial, or it which doesn't affect the soul. That is the meaning of apartham. Nirmulam. Nirmulam means without any factual basis. Without any factual basis.
What is the difference apart from the nirmula?
Without any fact, actually this means like causeless. What is the reason of jiva's ignorance? Causeless. What is out of ignorance the jiva is suffering apparent? What is the nirmulam means? What is the cause of jiva's ignorance? The causeless ignorance. Nirmulam. You cannot trace. It is the same as jiva is beginningless ignorance, beginningless. Nirmulam.
sometimes some
It's
questions-
apparent and it's without any meaning and it is causeless. Because there is why you fall into ignorance? Someone says, why do you fall into ignorance? Causeless ignorance. They don't know.
So can I ask certain questions regarding that?
Now after 1:30, all questions. The whole chapter is remaining. Of course, the question after question, I will not be explaining the question much now. When Vidura start asking question, I just paraphrase the question. We are not discussing the answers to questions. Right? The question bank now. Entire question bank is coming. I'll just briefly rephrase the question and make you understand the question. Answer this in your BB1, BB2, and in will continue. The answer will continue. 17th. Note down your question somewhere. Ask after 1:30 or whenever we finish the class. Read the translation. 17th.
17.
Both the lowest of fools and who is transcendental to all intelligence enjoy happiness, whereas persons between them suffer the material pangs.
Vidurji is saying, lowest of fools, like those who are steeped in ignorance, they enjoy, but they seem to enjoy. Really, they think they are enjoying. And those who are transcendentalists, they enjoy, they actually enjoy. But the person who is trying to give up matter or sense gratification and turn to Krishna, that person is suffering. Why? Because he is neither absorbed in matter nor absorbed in spirit. And he has so many doubts. That is the reason. See, a person is absorbed in matter. He is enjoying. Because he is so foolish, so dull. Right? But his enjoyment is foolishness, is going to not last long. So, but at least he is absorbed in matter, he is enjoying. Absorbed in transcendent is actually enjoying. That person seemingly enjoys. But those who are in between, trying to turn away from matter and turn to spirit, these people are confused. Because they are not sufficiently absorbed. So the sadhaka, so intermittent stage where a person has confusion, not sufficient absorption, there is a kind of indicated suffering. But this is the process to eternal happiness. So the whole thing is, Vidura is saying, I am suffering in the intermittent stage, but now if you resolve all my doubts, then I will also find absorption and I will also be able to enjoy. So sadhakas have to find real enjoyment while go through the process of confusion, doubts, intermittent suffering. Remove all that and find the true joy. So from the illusory joy, because there is some absorption, they don't realize they have illusory happiness, then there is intermittent suffering till we don't find absorption in transcendence. So the whole point is, Vidura is saying, till now I have been suffering, but now you are removing all my doubts, so I will also be able to find absorption. That's the whole point of this verse. By your mercy, I will find absorption in transcendence and give up all my suffering, intermittent suffering. 18th.
But my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance, although it appears real. I am confident that by saving your feet, will be possible for me to give up the false idea.
Okay, so now this is very important verse. He is saying, now I can understand this material suffering is apparent, without substance. Apartham is actually without substance and causeless. But I will be able to give it up only by service to your lotus feet. That means the knowledge may be there, but that knowledge, I will be able to live that knowledge. I will be able to live that knowledge by your serving your lotus feet. Therefore, in this world, there is no dearth of good advice.
What advice?
Good advice. There is no dearth of good advice, right? There are so many nice speeches available. What is, how you can benefit yourself, how you can benefit others, but still people are miserable. Why? Because they do not have the process to live by the knowledge, which is becoming a servant of the Lord, and more than that, becoming a servant of the devotees. So he's saying, by serving a lotus feet, will I be able to actually realize and implement this knowledge in my life. So therefore people are not suffering, even the sadhakas are not suffering due to lack of knowledge. Like one of the Bhakti Shastri student here, he met with Prasadam Mall. He said, how can someone be in Maya after doing Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav? After knowing whole Gita and Bhagavad, how can a still person be in Maya? He was having a genuine question. I said, you only know, but to live by Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, it will take humble being service. You have to live by that. Takes a lot of, that's another realm altogether. It's not that by just knowing things we are able to benefit ourselves. That has to be converted into realization by humble menial service. So therefore, even if we soak ourselves intellectually in Bhagavatam, we may still fall down to Maya. Right? There are people who know so much about Bhagavatam, right? But they act so much contrary to what is actually described in the Bhagavatam. So a person may intellectually soak oneself in Bhagavatam, but still fall prey to Maya. Because ultimately we have to take shelter of service to the lotus feet of the Lord and the Vaishnavas. Please Krishna, please the devotees. Then only this Bhagavatam will actually manifest in our lives by the attitude of, and the service which is given by Guru, with the mood of gratitude, humility, when we live and please Guru and Vaishnavas by our seva, service attitude, then Bhagavatam will manifest. Otherwise, so now you're trying to assimilate the concept, but you have to live by this Bhagavatam. Realize the Bhagavatam in your life, that is important. And Vidura says, I will realize this Bhagavatam by serving the lotus feet.
Both have to both service to devotee or Krishna in Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Text 19.
Reading Bhagavatam is
So service. But then person Bhagavatam also has to be served.
Text 19.
The Supreme Lord has to be served. Right? What Bhagavatam is inspiring you to do, you have to do it. And whatever challenges come in that, overcome it. Because there will be so many challenges due to anarthas. To live by Bhagavatam, there will be so many challenges opposed by anartha, you have to overcome and then realize Bhagavatam. Okay, go ahead.
Text 19. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the mother demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses.
Okay, so saying when one serves the devotees, a great result follows. What happens? Two results are indicated by serving the lotus feet of devotees or serving the lotus feet of the best of the devotees, the spiritual master. One gains attraction, rati raso, attraction toward the Lord, towards his katha. And then one's material distress is vanquished. The material miseries are vanquished. And attraction toward Lord is developed by serving the lotus feet of the Guru and the Vaishnavas. 20th.
What is the second thing? Two things.
Material miseries are vanquished. Vyasanardhana. Ratiraso bhavet tivra vyasanardana. 20th.
Persons whose austerity is meager can only obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of the living entities.
How can one attain the service of the lotus feet of the devotees? It said that those with meager alpatapasa, with meager austerity, they cannot obtain. In general, by austerity one cannot obtain. Only by causeless mercy, only by some bhakti sukriti, not just tapasya. So, by agya sukriti, that means agya sukriti itself is also mercy of some devotee, some unknowingly we have got some mercy of some devotee, and to that mercy we may get association and service to other devotees, and that is and not by tapasya. So, who are these devotees? He described that we may able to obtain by the mercy of the Lord, or the mercy of other devotees, or by some unknown devotional service, we get association of pure devotees and service to them, who are walking on the path of towards Vaikuntha, Vaikuntha Vartmashu. Those devotees are traversing the path towards Vaikuntha. What are their symptoms? They always engage in glorifying the Lord. Those who constantly glorify the Lord, they are Vaikuntha Vartmasu. They are on their way back to Godhead. Service to such devotees is not attained by alpatavasa, and is obtained by causeless mercy of the Lord or his devotees.
After creating the total material energy, the Mahat Tattva, and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it.
Okay, now begins. He just describes what he heard and then asks further questions. So, in 21, 22, he just connects what he heard to ask further questions. So, here about the Vishwarupa. Okay, so kind of summary of what he had previously heard, so that he can ask further questions. Yes.
The Purusha incarnation lying on the causal ocean is called the original Purusha in the material creations, and in his Virat form, in whom all the planets and their inhabitants live, he has many thousands of hands and legs.
Okay, therefore it is called Sahasra Purusha. The expansion of the original Purusha, Mahavishnu, who enters the universe and manifests universal form. He has thousands of hands and legs, therefore it is called Sahasra Purusha. Thousands of heads, so on and so forth. We already discussed Sahasra Purusha. We discussed, not there in the purport. Okay, so now further questions begin by Vidura. 23.
O great Brahmana, you have told me that the gigantic Virat form and its senses, sense objects, and 10 kinds of life air exist with 3 kinds of life vigor. Now, if you will kindly explain to me the different powers of the specific divisions.
So see, he summarizes that you already told me about the those Shakti, sense object, 10 kind of life here, right? 3, 1, 1, 3, 10, we discussed yesterday. He summarizes. Now, will you explain to me the different powers of specific divisions? Here it means Tad Vibhutir, Vadasvana, Vibhuti. Speak me about your Vibhutis. What kind of Vibhutis? Here then Vishwanath Thakur says he wants to hear the Vibhutis that populate the universe. that populate the, speak of the vibhutis that populate the universe. That means Prajapatis. Prajapatis is also Lord Vibhutis. Vibhutis are what? When the Lord's specific power is invested. Vibhuti is lesser than the Shakti-avesh or, yeah. Shakti-avesh is less than Shakti-avesh.
Again, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is saying this, he is asking about.
But the Vibhutis, here Vibhutis means Vibhutis those who populate the universe. That means Prajapatis. He is asking about the Prajapatis. And the next question is in the relation to Prajapatis only again. Read the next.
Oh my Lord, I think that the Prabhu's manifestation in the form of sun, great sun, and the family member has spread all over the universe in different varieties of species.
The Prabhus manifest. That means these Vibhutis, these Prajapatis, their son, grandson, and family members they spread all over the universe. Okay. So Prajapati is also considered Lord Vibhutis. 25.
O learned Brahmana, please describe how the leader of all the demigods, namely Prajapati, Brahma, decided to establish the various Manus, the heads of the ages. Please describe the Manus also, and please describe the descendant of those Manus.
Prajapati Nam Sapati. So there are different Prajapatis, and Brahma is the leader of all of them. How did he establish various Manus? And Manus are the heads of the ages, the millennium, Manvantara. So therefore describe about the Manus and describe the descendants of the Manus. So therefore this description, this will begin. This is a big section starting from Swambhu Manu, then his 5 children are there. Right? In that regard, Lord Kapila teaching will come. Devahuti married to Kapila. One daughter will be married to Daksha. Daksha episode will come. Dhruva will come among the descendants. Prithu Maharaj will come among the descendants of Swambhu Manu. So so Veda. So also, so what is question he asked about Swambhu Manu, right? Brahma and his descendants. We will continue till middle of 5th canto. Okay? So like that. This answer will be quite long as such. And further in the 8th canto also the description of Manu will continue. Okay, you will study all that. At least in Bhakti Vaibhav will be till 6th canto, but the answer will go ahead also. Means further description, in other cantos also, answers are there. 26.
O son of Mitra, can you describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it? And also please mention their measurement as well as that of the earthly planets.
This is the question about sthanam. How the planets are created is not sthanam, that is sarga only, but how they are situated. What is the functioning, this, that. This is sthanam, 26th. This will be answered in the 5th canto, second half.
How the planets are situated.
Measurements, how they are situated, how much time it takes for them to revolve around, this, that. Who are the living entities there, etc. Go ahead. 27.
Also, please describe the living beings under different classifications: subhumans, humans, those born of the embryo, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions also.
Yeah. So like that, different living beings, human, subhuman, how they are, and they born from each other. The four ways are described here: Garbh, Shved, Yuj, and Udbij or Udbidam. The living entities are born from embryo, womb, from the perspiration, which is sweat. Again, not just sweat. Even the waters of the perspiration of earth also is mentioned. Like if there is water logging somewhere takes place, there is water on the earth somewhere, right? Then there are so many living entities immediately created. The rainy season, or the insect form increase like anything. So the water which is stagnant on earth is also considered earth perspiration. It's not just human perspiration. It's earth's perspiration also included. Shwed includes earth and earth perspiration both. And the birds, they are the Andaja. Actually, Andaja are also called Dvija.
Yeah.
The birds are also Dvija. They are actually Andaja, born from the embryo, born from perspiration. Shvedja and Andaja means Dvija, and Udbij, or here Udbidam, born from the seed. 4 ways the living entities are born.
Bacteria.
Bacteria is all Shvedja.
Twice born means Prabhu, one is like they came like egg.
And then when egg hatches, then they come out. 28.
Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar, and please describe the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His magnanimous activities.
Okay, so describe about the Guna avatars and the activities of the Guna avatars. 29.
O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and the categorical divisions of the Vedas.
Okay, so Varnashrama, practically Varnashrama is described. Okay, 30th.
Please also describe the expansions of the different sacrifices and the paths of mystic power, analytical study of knowledge, and devotional service, all with their respective regulations.
Okay, the path of sacrifices, mystic power, and ultimately devotional service there is indicated as Pancharatra. Tantram va Bhagavasmritam. In Tantra Shastra means the deity worship with all the regulations. Is compiled by Narada Muni. 31.
Please also describe the imperfections and contradictions of the faithless atheist, the situation of crossbreeding, and the movements of the living entities in various species of life according to the particular modes of nature and birth.
Okay. Remember, all the questions you can categorize in 3. Again, if you carefully see, all the questions can be categorized in 3 categories. Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Kal, Karma is all about the Sambandha, relationship. Jiva is the relationship with Prakriti, Kala, Jiva is the relationship with Ishvara, Jiva is on Karma, which leads to. Second is that is like Sambandha Gyan. Second could be Avideya, different paths. Karma, Jnana, Yoga, under Karma is Dharma, so on and so forth. Right? Karma, Jnana, Yoga. Within that, Sankhya also comes. Sankhya is part of Jnana. So, Sankhya and Bhakti. And last is Prayojan. Bhakti, Bhakti, Bhagwan. So, Bhakti is Avideya also, Bhakti is Prayojan also. So you see, the question, all the questions can be categorized: Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Kal, Karma, the relationships, the process which is Avideya, or the Prayojan.